And I came back like, I did it, I handed my notice in. And he was like...
So Fran, just want you to start with talking to us about where your business journey began post-university, because you started and you went and got a degree, didn't you?
I did indeed, yeah. I went to Cardiff University to do business management and marketing.
Yeah.
So there was like the business management course, and then you could kind of specialise down like marketing, HR, finance, whatever.
Like a hybrid sort of course.
Yeah, like you
I
pick
know
your
the ones.
modules to like make it whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
So I did business management, marketing in Cardiff, which is what brought me to Wales. So I'm kind of Welsh now, I think.
Are you originally from England?
Yeah, I'm from. I was from Wiltshire, and then
Okay.
came over to Cardiff, and sort of I left. I went to Bristol to live for a few months after uni, but then I came back to Wales because it's quite hard to leave, I think, once you get here.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but so I always knew I wanted to have my own business, but I thought it was something you do in the future, like something that's like, you know, in my 40s or 50s.
That whole
or
element of
something.
I'll do it when I've got enough money, or I'll do it when I've got enough time. Yeah.
There's always like, oh, one day, that's the plan. But everyone was like, no, you go to uni, you get a job. That's what you do. And I was quite academic at school as well. So it was very like, you do a proper subject and you go to uni and then you just get a job and that's it. And then you work your way up.
Get your professional job.
Yeah. And in my head, I was always like, that's not what I want to do. Like, I've had like mini businesses. I had like a cake business when I was 18. I was like the kid plaiting hair in the playground, charging like £2 for little French braids and stuff.
Love that.
So I'd make...
It started early doors.
So
honestly,
you had that from a youngster then,
yeah,
basically?
I was in primary school, in not even juniors, in like the infants. I got like a Get Set chocolate factory where you melt the chocolate and set it again. And I mean, my profit margins were probably awful because I got 6. But
you were hustling.
Yeah, I was selling.
Were you doing your own books at that point?
Oh yeah, I was like trying to work it out, do my accounts late at night or whatever. So I was selling like chocolate for like 20p, and then we had all the like Heaven Bar and Chewy Bar, and we made up all this stuff, and like I just loved the creativity of like coming up with something, selling it, and thinking I've made money, even though my dad's paid for all the ingredients. But so like all my life I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I was really serious actually about my cake business when I was 18. I was like making anniversary cakes, and I was like, this is what I want to do. But it was like, no, you go to uni, you get a job, that's what you do. Even at uni, in between like year 1 and year 2, I did Cardiff School of Beauty. So I trained to be a beautician over summer, and then I set up my own mobile beauty business. So in 2nd year and 3rd year, I was doing like spray tans and eyelash extensions and all that type of stuff.
What were you actually studying at uni?
Business.
Business, okay.
Yeah, business.
But you were still doing those courses when you could.
Yeah,
like in the
I was
summer
like,
holidays.
I want to be a
whatever.
beautician as well.
Okay.
So I was doing like little mini businesses to just because I wanted to, and then got my job after uni in an advertising agency, which was just my absolute dream job. I loved it to bits, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So I was doing like running campaigns for Bristol NHS trusts, Welsh Government campaigns we worked on, all sorts of things. I absolutely loved it. It was like making TV adverts and radio adverts, and it was so creative and fun, but also strategic. But I was always like, I still want my own business. So I'd try and set up like a subscription box, or like a yoga one we tried, or just other little things. But it wasn't till I had my daughter Luna, so I accidentally got pregnant at 23, and was like, oh, what am I going to do now? And then was like, right, just make it work somehow.
Yeah.
So after I had her, I went back to work after about 5 months off. So I didn't have long maternity leave because I was like, get back to work, career woman, this is what I want to do. And I imagined myself as, you know, in like a film, sometimes you see this like career woman and she's got like a baby and she's running around and she's like
still managing to do it all. Yeah.
I was like, that's what I want to be. I want to be the mum who's like in the office, loads of paper everywhere, but like she's managing, and like she's got a baby and everyone sees her as super mum. I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
Get back to work. And I was like, I can't do this. It's really hard.
Fran, at that point, did you have a lot of support?
Yes and no. Like, yes. So I had, like, my mum would come down from Wiltshire. My Luna's dad was around, like his family were around, but I was so overly independent, I'd push everyone away. I was like, don't help me, I don't want your help, I'm doing this myself. It was just, I wanted to do it my way. So I did have the support and the help, but I would push it away because I just thought that I had to do it myself. So then when I think it was about 6 months in, no, maybe 4 or 5 months after I went back to work, I was like, I can't do this. And I had one freelance job that I'd taken on, just doing social media for a local company. And I got £500 for something that took me like an evening's work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, so the plan of having my own business in the future could actually just bring this forward and pick up more of these jobs and work from home with my new baby.
So was that the light bulb moment?
Yeah, that's when I thought, right. So I spoke about it with my partner at the time, like maybe I could bring this freelance business thing forward a bit. And he was really supportive, like, yeah, that's a really good idea. And we were moving house at the time. The next day I handed my notice in. And I came back like, I did it, I handed my notice in. And he was like, oh, I thought you meant like in the next...
In 6 months. I'm expecting it tomorrow.
Yeah. She's keen. She's ready to go.
He was like, what have you done? We've got like, we're moving house, like you need the pay slips for the mortgage. So we had to literally just move house, like the next house we saw. We did a part exchange in the end because then they buy your house so you don't have to wait and it all happens really quick.
Yeah.
So we could use my pay slips from still being employed. So then that was kind of the start of it really. Just it was like a kind of freelance. I could sort of feed the baby and be around and just sort of pick it up from there.
Do you think having the baby drove you to hand in that notice?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you could see perhaps a bigger future than what you were...
Was an element of that, like, did you know you didn't want to be an employee? You didn't... You know, I believe there's a mindset to being an entrepreneur and there's a mindset to being an employee. And how much of that do you think played a role in you taking that choice at that moment in life?
Yeah, definitely. I think the mindset thing of like, I felt like I had so much more to give to the business and so many ideas and stuff. But when there's already an established business and you've got this little 23-year-old, like, we should do it like this. How about this? You should try this. They're probably like,
it's got to fall on deaf ears, isn't it?
Yeah, and they would take them on, and they were like the best company ever. I loved working for them, but equally they're like, well, we've got our own plan. So I was like, right, I'll all these ideas I'll put into my business and start my plan. So then it went from there, and that was 5 years ago now. It started very much like picking up freelance clients and then growing and turning into more of like an agency. And now I've got a couple of girls, the 2 girls working for me, and I'm looking to grow. And it's taken a while to get to the point where I believe in myself as much as other people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the year of like super growth, hopefully.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we've got you at the right point.
Yeah, this is a good point to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, like, I remember my dad always saying to me that he spent like 20 years in the same company. And finally, just before he passed away, he'd reached a point in that company that he was really happy and he was doing really well. But I wouldn't say he was rewarded for his work in terms of a financial reward. But he always said to me, I don't know why he didn't follow his own advice, but he always said to me, you'll only ever be really financially free if you work for yourself. Because if you do work for somebody, you're always given that opportunity that they dictate your future.
Yeah.
There could be somebody above you who thinks she or he is a good worker, but I'm only going to pay him so much. Obviously, most people as humans, they care fundamentally about themselves, don't they? We can be quite selfish. It's rare that you'll get an employer that's like, I want to distribute this wealth completely fairly.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? That's almost like ludicrous to suggest that would be common practice.
Well, it's a natural conflict, isn't it, between the employer and the employee?
Exactly.
They want the maximum labour in whatever form that is, right? And they want to give you the minimum payment. And what do you want? You want to do the little labour for the maximum payment. So that's a natural... as an average, I would agree. So, but I think you're a great example, like your story is a great example, as we're going to go into it, of somebody, getting good at something, finding they got a passion for something, realising that you could spend your life doing that for somebody. You absolutely could. I don't believe at all you will ever get the same reward doing it for somebody as if you did it for yourself. It's organic, it's natural, it's unique. It's all about you and then the people you bring into that company, and like that's where you'll really shine, because you can't match your passion for your business with somebody else's, because fundamentally it's their business.
Yeah, completely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're funding someone else's dream when you're putting all your efforts into, you know, a big organization or a company, and that's got to be a different feeling for someone like Fran, who's building it from the ground up and doing it for yourself.
Completely. And I think like it's definitely worth saying, like, it's not for everybody, and there's of course there's value in people being, because there's such a massive thing at the moment about, like, I don't know if it's just because of like algorithms and the content that I get served on social media, but it's all about like, be an entrepreneur, like work for yourself, and it's like that's not for everyone. Like there is value in people who want to be employed. Like the some jobs, like you more like public service jobs, or like kind of like firefighters, roles in the NHS. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to be like start my own something business, which I'm
going to start my own firefighters.
Like there's some roles you can't. So if that's what you want to do, and you get the stability, you get like pensions, this, that, and the other. There's like such a need for that type of thing.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
The other side of the coin, like not everybody fits into that, and I don't think I'm a very good employee, because even though I was like really good at my job, I was always thinking, how can I turn this into, like, even though at the time it was more of a future plan, I was like, how can I take bits of this and work on it for me rather than for this? Like, I'd always be like, wondering how I can turn it into my business.
It's just a different mindset. I think there's, like, with your story, there's evidence that your mindset was different, because there's not many kids going to school and start trying to set up a business.
Yeah.
Like, I know you were selling chocolate, but
there was always that odd person, wasn't there? Like, not odd person, sorry. But there was always that person who was like selling the cans of Coke that they just gone and bought from the shop.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, to the average kid, they just think, oh, that kid's crazy.
And also they're thinking, buzzing, I can get a 50p can of Coke.
Really,
he just paid 20p for it. So I don't know why you're buzzing it. He's charged you 30p extra. You can go to the shop and get it yourself.
He's hustling you,
yeah.
But it shows there's a different mindset. And I think like the average person probably, we're influenced by a lot of things, aren't we? And you look at, like, we go through school, and what the school teaches us. It teaches us when to have a break, when to work hard, and authority figures, hierarchies. And then so we're almost pre-programmed then to go out into the world and then sit in one of those boxes, which are called companies, right? So you have the person who's comfortable doing that, but not comfortable doing what you're doing, right? And vice versa. So like you said, it's not for everyone, but I think there's great benefit in doing something that, like, you really enjoy.
Well, with great risk comes great reward.
Yeah.
But you touched on a nice point there, man. It's like, even when you're in school, you learn to ask, can I go to the toilet? And I found myself in companies where people want to let their manager know they're going to the toilet. but it's like, that's quite a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
It is though, isn't it? Like if you've got a natural urge to go to the toilet, get up, go to the toilet.
Yeah.
But because it's been programmed into you that you have to ask an authority figure
to do like a human bodily function.
Yeah. Like, all right, do you know what I mean?
It's unnatural. That's what it is. It's unnatural. But again, we conform to it because we've gone through a school system that mirrors that. Companies mirror that. Even prison mirrors that.
Or you could work for Amazon, where they literally time your toilet breaks.
Yeah.
When I have like interns in or new starters or whatever, I'm like, literally, do what you want. If you need to come down and get a drink, come and get a drink. If you need the toilet, like, go to the toilet. If you want to go get lunch because you're hungry, like, whatever. Like, as long as the work's getting done, like, I don't care. Like, I'm not like,
so there's no
lunch break us between this. Like,
there's no strict toilet breaks then in Fran's business now.
Toilet breaks are only between like 10 and 10 past 10. That's it.
The dictatorship.
You plan when you eat and drink by my toilet breaks.
This is my house.
It's nuts, isn't it? I just wanted to create a business which the reason I created the business or started was because of my like needs for flexibility and needs to be able to work around my new baby and needs to be able to sort of do things how I wanted. And if I then create a culture in my business which doesn't mirror that, then I've like failed in my business ultimately.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not what I wanted to create. So, you know, if you need to drop the kids off and you're going to be half an hour late, unless there's like the world's biggest meeting and you can't be late, in which case you would have planned for that in advance, like, so what if you come in 5 minutes late? Like, and I think sometimes that might some people might think that's sending the wrong message about like, you know, punctuality and this kind of thing. But there's other things important in life and things get in the way. Like there's so much more important things in life other than just work. And if you can build your work as part of your day rather than work is your day, then like you get the best work out of people as well that way.
I really agree with that. Like I think like
culture is really important.
And with bigger companies, like I've worked for bigger companies where absolutely if you're late and you're not in like the contact center, it's kind of like you're letting everyone down. Like as if like the company's going to go under because one agent didn't turn up.
No,
that's how they make you feel.
Do you know what they use? I mean, I had this in my retail job. I spent quite a few years in. The thing they'd use every time in the meetings. Do you understand the needs of the business? The needs of the business. No, I don't. I was a minute late. I mean, what's that done to the business? Get a CEO on the phone if he's got a problem. Like, do you know what I mean? It's, like there is. I think that's one of my problems with
larger organisations
and being an employee. So I totally gravitate towards the reasons why you've done what you've done.
Yeah.
Now your business, what does your business actually do?
So we're a full service marketing agency. So that's anything from market research, strategy and planning, branding, design, print work, website creation and hosting. Digital marketing is kind of like the core. So social media management, Facebook ads, SEO, search engine optimization, pay-per-click. So everything to do with Google, email marketing, influencer marketing. And kind of like marrying it all together. So you can't just really have like one thing happening on its own. You need to have all your strategies aligned into like an integrated strategy. So we'll pull all that together for businesses and run it. I also do a lot of training as well. So during lockdown, businesses would be like, I haven't got any money, but I need to market. So there's a bit of a situation going on. And we would do that training to help them be able to do it themselves as best they can. So we've got like a training element to the business as well.
I'm with you. That's really positive.
The business is up and running. You said, so this is the year for the big growth. How much success have you had so far?
Oh, it's a really hard question because I'm definitely the person who's like, oh, I'm so rubbish, I can't do anything. Like I've not succeeded in anything. But then other people are like, wow, you're amazing. And like, it's really hard sometimes to like listen to what other people say. But when I do like this Big Ideas Wales role model, they call it. So you go into schools and colleges and you're like, this is me, this is what you can achieve if you do this, which I'm actually a massive fan of because it goes back to what we were saying about you're in a school or a college and you're taught this is the route to go down.
Right.
And then I'll come in and be like, look, it's not for everyone, but if you want your own
business,
an
alternative.
This is the alternative, this is how you do it. So I do a lot of that. And in part of that, your first slide on your presentation is like a bit about you, what you've achieved. So when I started putting those together, it's a bit hard at first because you're like, oh, I've done that and I've done that. And you end up with this list and you read it and you're like, all right, I have done okay actually. Like I've done okay. So
how many employees have you got?
There's like 2 at the moment, but I'm looking for a couple more. But it's so hard to recruit. There's probably space for like 2 more. So 2 employees.
Now she's looking for a new job.
Is this a job interview?
Is that what is?
Tell me what you can bring to the company.
Well, I haven't brought my blue suit for a start. So
he's a great Del Boy impersonator with that jacket.
This guy. He models himself on my fashion,
right,
by the way.
Can we seriously though? Does that look like Del Boy's coat?
It's more Drake. That's what I was going for.
More Drake. Yeah, more Drake.
Yeah, Fran was definitely serious about that. Yeah, more Drake.
You look just like him, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can we get back to the topic?
Yeah,
this has gone way off.
Oh yeah, we were talking about me and all of my success.
Hold on, Fran, have you just compared him to Drake?
You said it.
Bro, there's only so much.
No, I said Del Boy.
You said it.
I said Del Boy. This has gone from Del Boy to Drake.
He hates compliments, you know. You go into universities and do lecturing as well.
Yeah.
And are you giving them the alternative route in those discussions, or is that just with like the schools and stuff? Are you selling that to like the university as well?
A little bit, not so much with the lecturing. So if I go into colleges or schools as like the role model,
Right.
they call it,
Yeah.
then it is all about like the alternative route of entrepreneurship.
How is that received by students?
Yeah, it depends how old they are. There's a lot of them who are like, oh, that's so cool, you must be so rich and have like big cars and stuff. And I'm like,
Where's the Lambo?
yeah, I'm like, I have like less money than anyone.
Would you
'cause-
say that's the younger audience buy into that?
Yeah, I prefer it like the younger they are because you can get to them before someone else is
A
like
remodel, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And how much of that do you think is because like the era that we're in now, we're in this technology era, and obviously like Instagram's a big influence, isn't it? Do you think they gravitate to you because of the era that we're in?
Yeah, probably actually. But there is this element as well of like you see the success and the benefits, and
Yeah.
you don't see like the hard work or whatever that's gone into it. So I do try and say like, look, this is all great, but there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not for everyone. Like what you see, like the shiny
Of course,
side
yeah.
of things online or on Instagram or wherever the successes are shown off. There's so much that goes into it, even to like win an award. Like doing the award applications and like going for like interviews and like people grilling you on like this, that and the other, and
Yeah.
having to like prove you're worthy of that award, because there's so many awards out there which you can literally just buy. You basically like buy an award and they're like, oh, you
Like South Wales best elbow impersonator.
that's the one.
Yeah.
150 quid and
he's
I'll
trying to-
make
or
that
South, or
award for
South
you.
Wales best Drake impersonator.
It's trying to kill me here, man.
Yeah, sorry.
It's called, it's called
I'm
projecting.
I'm taking you off topic. I'm taking you off topic. But
Yeah, so there's so much you can just buy your way into like looking
course,
good.
yeah.
But if you want like the real success or whatever, then there's so much that goes into it.
And that's what people don't see. You know, those rainy nights that are hard. You know, you're sweating on your bills. You're trying to maintain like your relationship.
like quitting your job and then you've got you're buying a house the next day or whatever,
Yeah.
signing for a
Yeah,
house.
and you're
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do?
And your child
Yeah.
on top. I mean, that's a lot of things.
Exactly.
yeah.
People don't see all those struggles.
There's
And
a
when you
lot
put-
of
People
when you-
just see the finished article, like you right now with your business. You've got your nice offices, and
Yeah.
you're starting to employ people, and you're building something really positive. And no one can actually physically see the hard graft that you've put in to get here.
Yeah, and it's not even a like, oh God, everything's so hard, my life's so hard, because like I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly.
But equally,
It's challenging.
like when you've got a kid who's 5, turning 6 soon, so it's all like we were talking earlier about like kids party after kids party, like got to go and buy a present, got to do this, got to make sure this. Oh, she's grown out of her clothes again.
All
You put
adds
her
up,
leggings
doesn't it?
on and they're
Yeah.
up here, and you've got to go and then she comes back from school and she's ripped her tights, and you've got to pop to Tesco and get new tights, and it's like I've got so much other stuff to do, and like that on its own. Like when people say like full-time mum, it is a full-time job.
100%.
And then you've got to fit in your own business, and then you've got to fit in keeping the house tidy, and then you've got to fit in. I'm just
Having
like
your own social life and all
like
that sort of
time
stuff.
for me. Like sometimes I just want to sit on my own for 5 minutes.
course. Yeah.
So like
Absolutely.
it is hard, and then people are like, oh, what are you up to this weekend? Working probably because I've got a proposal to put together, and like I really do try and switch off and separate that time off, and the more I try and take that time out, the better my business grows, because and not just my business grows, but I'm a better person because I've taken time to switch off. So I've learned the hard way that there's no value in having 24 hours a day packed full of stuff and taking no time out. It's so much more productive to stop for 2 days and restart. You will just be so much more ahead. Like I've had 2, probably more, but like serious burnouts, like hospitalizations, really, really bad, which are probably down to like other things as well. But like it was built up and triggered by the fact that I like was just completely going and like physically couldn't go anymore and just like collapsed mentally. Like it was horrendous.
How do you manage that now?
I have to be really, really strict on bedtimes. So it doesn't matter if there's something due in the next day. Like, what's more important?
Your health.
My health.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
if my health isn't the most important, then everything else is going to collapse as well, and then nobody gets the benefit of me. So like, if I don't prioritize bedtime, I drink less alcohol. Not that I drank loads, to be honest, but like I have to just drink less coffee, manage my diet better, fit in exercise, make sure I'm really strict on taking my medication. So that is something that I need to work on.
Yeah.
But just being like stricter on that. Just like prioritizing the basics. So like my psychiatrists I go to every 2 months, And he always says, like, we can't assess you properly unless you're doing the basics, because if you're not taking care of yourself, we can't assess if you're actually okay or not, because it could just be one of those things affecting you. So I have to prioritize like the basics in order to
Of course.
make sure that everything else is going to go okay.
That's interesting. I'd never really thought of that.
Yeah, because
About if you're not actually doing the basics.
because sometimes like mental health conditions and things like that, it could just be that you're not sleeping properly and it's triggering these things. Whereas if you're doing all the basics right and there's still something off, then it's like a control.
Yeah,
they're like,
that's
right,
totally,
everything's fine, but you're still not fine. So now we can assess the problem properly. If it's just that you're drinking, you're like not sleeping properly, your diet's awful, you don't exercise, they're like, well, of course you're going to have issues because the basics aren't
absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
So unless I get those basics right, then you can't like measure it from there. So I got, maybe even coming up 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which I sort of knew probably from the age of like 20, but the diagnosis process took like 10 years.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with like just clinical depression and treated with antidepressants. And if you give somebody antidepressants and they've got bipolar disorder, it just completely makes it worse.
Yeah.
So everything was just getting worse and worse. The more I was taking medication that was meant to be helping, it was just doing the complete opposite. And then it wasn't until I had like horrendous manic episodes and breakdowns and was just all over the place that I got like hospitalized and properly assessed. And they were like, oh, right, try this. And then I was like, oh my God, this is so much better. And it has been life-changing for me because I can like get on with my life properly now rather than being like not knowing what's going on.
So when all that stuff was going on and they've sort of implemented a structure, did you find that was excelling yourself in business as well?
Yeah.
Were you able to like operate like
so much better?
Yeah, more
I was
efficiently?
Like, the only way I can describe it is like, I don't know, imagine you're like drunk or something, or there's like something, I don't know, something else your whole life and you're like, you just can't focus, or you've got like fuzzy glasses on or something, and then you just finally you're like, oh right, this is right, I can get on now.
It's working,
like something just like lifts and you're like, oh my God, imagine. And I just think, imagine if that was like treated 10 years ago.
Exactly, yeah.
I'd have been like up there by now, but you can't look back.
Prime Minister by now.
Probably.
Fran, you've been quite successful in business and this is your big year of growth. As a woman, have you felt you've been perceived differently to male counterparts in a similar role to yourself?
Do you know what? Probably. And I used to have a big like thing where I'd feel a bit sorry for myself. Like, oh, I'm only 25 at the time.
Right.
Oh, I've got a child. I'm a single mum. Everything's harder for me because I'm a woman in business. Like, no one's taking me seriously because I'm a 25-year-old little girl trying to make it in this like man's business world. And I'd go to like these like business clubs and business meetings, and there'd be like men in suits and stuff, and I'd be like, oh. And then I sort of just realised one day, like, there are a lot of barriers, and I'm not going to say there's not. There are, like, people don't take you as seriously. People, you know, all the statistics point towards men are more successful, but that doesn't mean I can't be successful because I'll be the 1% that is successful.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to say, yeah, there's all these barriers in my way, and I'm just not going to let them be in my way. I'll just push through them. And I think the only way to like get through it was to just accept that they are there. And unfortunately, unless I change the entire like world's view on things, or like get into every single man's head and change things, like that might be something I can like start a campaign towards or something, but like it's not going to happen now. And if I want to get ahead now, I've just got to push through now.
Everybody's perspective.
It's like it's a macro level problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you as a woman you enter a world that's been engineered by men.
Yeah.
Right. So everything's dictated, like the top people in power are male. That goes from politics to literally everything, even like, you know, things like Hollywood. Traditionally it's males behind the director's box. So like, although there could be female actors who've got big names and they're on big, you know, they're making a lot of money.
Look at all the Me Too movement as well. It's just another really significant example.
It's lucrative, but behind the scenes there's even more lucrative. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's a puppet on strings for someone, but it's very clear that there's an imbalance.
Yeah. And I'm just like, well, there is.
Yeah.
But I live my life in a little bit of a bubble in that I can see there's stuff going on, like stuff on the news, politics, COVID, this, that, the other, and I'm a little bit like, I'm just not going to take part. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And like, I've always been a little bit like that, a bit like stubborn, and just like, people will be like, oh, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? I want to, so I'm going to do it anyway. Like, people are like, oh, you've got to go to just get a normal job. Well, I want to do this, so I'm going to find a way to do it.
You're a bit more of an optimist than a pessimist as well.
So
and that's
I'm
really
just
good.
like, if I want to do something, I'll find rather than looking at the problems in the way, I'll find a way round the problem. And maybe, we should go back and fix those problems. But initially, right now, I haven't got time to fix the problem. So I'm just going to find a way through it. And then once I'm in a position maybe to go back and fix those problems to help the next generation of people or whatever, then I will. But if I want something,
I love that, man.
It's like, I am a woman, but so what? Like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
It probably is easier for a man, but I'll just crack on and work twice as hard and get through anyway.
I think. Go on, sorry.
I just want to ask you this question. Do you think there is equality of opportunity for women as entrepreneurs and in business as an employee? Do you think there is equality of opportunity?
I think probably there's not. I think there's probably like it's harder for women, and there's not a balance. It's harder. Even things like, and I think it is just the way women are. So for example, there's like stats on men will ask for a pay rise and get it, and a woman will be grateful for what she's got, kind of thing. And that's so true. Like, I was really underpaid when I was in a job, but I was like, oh, but I'm so grateful I've got this job. And then you find out like someone else has like asked for the $5,000, $10,000 pay rise and got it. And I'm like, I just would never do that.
Yeah.
And it's a female to men thing. And that's where things
so
like the pay
interesting.
gap comes in, because men are just asking for it and getting it because they feel like they deserve it. And women are like, don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I did some research a few years ago with Business Wales about barriers and like inequality and like women in the workplace and women in entrepreneurship. And we did loads of focus groups and stuff. And it is just the way women are. They're less likely to ask for things, and they're less likely to do things that men are likely to do. And even like the way the world and businesses and organizations are shaped are towards the way men would think. So it's not even about like, it's more just like, sometimes there's not that much that needs to change to make it equal. It's just that things are like designed for the way men think and the way men are, rather than for like women. So it's just,
it's interesting you said that.
It's not very equal.
Yeah, that's actually like really interesting, because I was doing some research behind this and behind like the pay gap and why there is a significant, well, I don't believe there's an equality of opportunity for women either. And there's that really famous interview with Jordan Peterson and Kathy Newman. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. And in that, he says that one of the reasons he thinks there's a significant pay gap and there's not an opportunity is because women are more agreeable than men. And you've kind of like highlighted that yourself.
Yeah,
like you said that
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you've kind of shown that you felt like you had gratitude for the fact even though, did you know you were being paid less? Or you weren't being paid?
I think I did.
But there was this element you just didn't, you almost had gratitude for the fact you had that job, you had that opportunity, but you didn't have maybe you wouldn't go and ask for a pay rise, whereas a man might.
Yeah. And like my like partner at the time was like, go and do this, ask for, and I was like, I can't do that. Oh my God. I probably would now, because I've kind of like had to train myself to take on more like male or masculine traits to succeed, because that's just the way the world is. So instead of being like, oh, but it feels uncomfortable, I'm like, it feels uncomfortable, but that's where growth happens, when you're uncomfortable.
Big time,
yeah.
Like, I'm going to have to get used to being uncomfortable. So let's just go for it and like take on these uncomfortable masculine traits and ask for stuff and do things and be a bit more bolshy and like push my way in where I want to be, which generally women wouldn't do. But that's what I've
100%.
noticed.
Yeah.
I'm just copying the most successful people basically in the masculine traits.
And interestingly as well, he said again in that interview, Jordan Peterson, that when women, another one of the reasons that women don't tend to excel as much as men would, you know, like in FTSE 100 companies and in positions of power in politics, is pregnancy and childbirth.
Yeah.
In that when a woman has a baby, they tend to be more vulnerable post having a baby. Whereas my feeling I get from listening to you is there was that element of vulnerability at the start, but it's actually excelled you to become more successful?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I first had Luna, and when I kind of started my business a few months later, I was so like, it was so vulnerable in every way, like in terms of financially. Like it wasn't that long after, it was only a couple of years later that I then left her dad and became like this single mum, and I'd view myself as like, poor single mum, like I need every penny I can get. So in terms of like the way I'd price things, it would be very like low, because I'd be like, you know, I just need 20 quid to pay the like bill or whatever, so if I can charge 20 quid and get it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But long term, I knew that wasn't a great strategy. Like I don't really do the whole low price thing. Like I am the best, my services is the best, and we'll pay that money. Like that's our strategy. But at the time I was so vulnerable, I needed like every penny I could get. I needed like I was just grateful for like anything in any way, whether it was financially or not. So I was very vulnerable. But then, yeah, I think I've just realized like you can't be like that, because you can't just feel sorry for yourself, because no one else cares about you. Like we said, people are selfish, whether they realize it or not. Humans are selfish in order to survive.
It's
It's survival of the fittest, and unfortunately, like no one actually cares about anyone else, really. Like you have very few friends in life, and not that I think I'm like the most successful person in the world. I've got a long way to go, and I've got a long way to achieve the goals that I've got set. But like the better I do, the more I realize who are my friends and who aren't, and I can count on one hand the people that support me and like say well done to me or whatever when something goes right, and they're the same people that I would do the same back for. Like I don't sounds really bad, I don't have time to be friends with everybody, because I want to be a good friend, and it takes a lot of effort. So I have friends, and then I have like acquaintances.
It's very time consuming to keep those relationships alive, right? Whether it's friends or family.
Do you know, you sound like a little bit when you said that. It reminded me massively what Molly May said when she said about friends.
24 hours.
No, not that. But she's in that interview. She said again about Stephen Bartlett asked her, "Do you have a lot of friends?" And she said, "No." You know, like almost in what you're saying, like a lot of people do want to ride your success. They want to jump on the wave, don't they? When you're doing well at something.
Yeah.
People like will watch you. They'll watch you, and they get to a point you're like, "Wow, now she's successful. I want a piece of that." Some people will anyway. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of like. It sounds like you kind of share that perspective to some extent.
Yeah, and do you know what? I listened to that interview, and when she said that, I thought, how genuine, not sad, but like how genuinely sad. Like this girl doesn't have friends. Like what does she do when she's sad? Like I know she said she had like her manager was her friend, but it wasn't until I sort of thought about it afterwards. And like when I'm like at my lowest points, or I need help, or I want to run an idea past someone, there's like my boyfriend, my mum, and like 3 or 4 best friends that are going to actually pick up the phone at 10 p.m. at night when I need them.
Absolutely.
If I just think, oh, that person's fun to go out drinking with or whatever, like they're not really going to care when I need like their support at 10 p.m. They're doing their thing. And probably the same way round. Like sometimes someone texts you and you're a bit like, oh, I'm just busy right now. Whereas there's a few people where if they text me, like I have dropped everything. I've dropped. One of my friends texted me once just saying like, I'm so down, I need you. And I had like a big meeting to go to. I had something booked basically, and I just cancelled it on the spot and went to see her. And I was like, that business opportunity would have been great, but that friendship is way more important. I just got in the car. There's been numerous times I'll get my daughter out of bed, chuck her in the car, and like go to my friends that need me. And that, like there's a few of those, but you like not everyone cares about you in the world. And like the more I go on and realize that, the stronger it makes me, because I'm like, I don't get upset anymore if somebody doesn't show the same friendship back that I showed to them. I just think, oh, well, we're not friends then. Okay, I've got friends who I know are my friends, and I'll focus there.
Do you think
like maybe that makes me sound not nice, but I just
no,
I just don't care anymore.
I think you're real.
Yeah.
You're real. You're in a world of
reality,
of fakeness.
I used to be a people pleaser. I used to really care what people thought about me, who liked me, who didn't. Like, if I do this, is people going to think about? Is someone going to say something behind my back? I just don't have time to care anymore. I care about the happiness of me, the happiness of my boyfriend and my family and my daughter and my friends. And like if that is okay, then things are great. I care about how much money is in my bank, not because of the figure, but because of the life that I like the freedom that provides me and the life that I've promised to like my daughter or my boyfriend or whatever. So if I'm building my personal wealth to a point where I can support my family to do anything they want to do, that's what I care about. And unfortunately, it's only really the last few months that I've got to the point where I'm like, I don't actually care about anything else, I don't have time.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Fran, what I want to say is I think you're a great example of a woman excelling in a world which is predominantly, I think, dominated by men. You know, like entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur and going into business. I think, you know, it is more challenging for a woman. I think the stats show that, but I think you're a great story of a woman overcoming those barriers, and you're on a really positive path. I know this year could be a really, really big year for you. So I wish you.
Cross all my
I
fingers and toes.
wish you good luck for that. But
thank you.
I want to thank you for coming on, and I hope any women or young girls who've been watching this podcast can really take something from Fran's story. Again, if you give us a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the Talking Reality podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.